Can you be wealthy and ethical therapist? As being wealthy, ethical thing. Can you run profitable, wealthy private practice, helping people and using your resources for the people and not the other way around? If you're a therapist and those words like wealthy therapist, building wealth, wealthy practice, spark something inside of you and maybe you're a little bit uncomfortable, I have a message for you. Please stick around. It is a bigger conversation. So I want to talk about today wealth, what wealth really means, because wealth is not money. We're going to talk about how therapists can make difference and make money and be resourced and be resourceful. Because here's the thing, a therapist cannot be resourceful if a therapist is not resourced. And also we're going to talk about different avenues, how therapists can actually be profitable, can actually be run a business, run a private practice that is wealthy and healthy and makes a difference. Now, what I'm not going to do, and I can promise you the recipe to get wealthy as a therapist, like this secret formula, if you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to be profitable and wealthy therapist, how to get rich quick by adding coaching offer, or just transforming your private practice, private therapy practice into $10,000 coaching offer and make it a group and just work 5 hours a day. We're going to have a deeper conversation. So I think let's start with the definition, shall we? Let's start with the definition. Wealth. What is wealth? Because wealth is not money. And here's the thing, the word that we're using is essential because words, we assign meanings to words, and words have, and I'm going a little spiritual here, words have vibration, words have resonance, and our brain interprets the words, and our brain has certain beliefs, and those beliefs, like when we hear certain words, inform our behavior, and when we start acting consciously or subconsciously, when we're aware of it or when we're not aware of it, that essentially comes from the words that we're using. Wealth is not money. You can be rich and not wealthy. You may not have any, you can literally have $0 in your bank account and you can be wealthy eventually. Let me explain. Wealth is when you create value, your ability to create value. And the more creativity, and creativity is one of the energy of self from internal family system, the more creativity, the more self energy you have, the more wealth, the more value you can create. Private one-on-one therapy is a value. Creating a book is a value. Speaking on stages is a value. Creating training program is a value. Creating a coaching program is a value. Select and identifying clients who are desperately in need in your services and would like to have maybe a higher level of care. And maybe they don't care if they're going to pay out of pocket or if they're going to use insurance. Or there are clients who are not satisfied with American insurance, and they understand how much harm insurance actually does to therapists and how we fight the system. And listen, I'm okay paying out of pocket, and those clients can pay out of pocket. What I'm saying here that there are many ways, many ethical ways to create wealth. And it starts actually from the self-leadership. By unblocking creativity, by unblocking energy of self. And I'm that serious. If your mind system is not okay, and as a therapist, like you know about human psychology, and I highly recommend and believe that every therapist should go to a therapy. And it's crazy to me, and I'm saying this with the understanding and compassion that some therapists just don't go to therapy. And this is why I'm saying that therapists must be resourced by running profitable practice, by running profitable business, to be resourceful. So it starts with self energy. It starts with self leadership. And by the way, I created hypnosis recordings, self-led therapist. It is self-regulation tool specifically for business owners, specifically for therapists, where the first recording is unblocking your self-energy, bringing more self-energy, and also helps you to identify the part of you that needs attention right now. And it's not therapy, not IFS therapy, but it's self-regulation tool. The second recording is board of trusted advisors, like a tool that you can develop any skills. And the third recording is making a decision from self-leadership tool. It is absolutely free. It is on my website. Link is in the description. Grab your hypnosis recordings now. So it starts with self-leadership, and those hypnosis recordings, this is why I created them. I want more therapists to unblock and create self-leadership and start now, regardless if they're working with me or not. So, and when we unblock self-leadership, when we unblock creativity, if you think about any business, because therapy, at some point when you are running private practice, at some point you gotta decide if you are a self-employed therapist, meaning you report to yourself and you pay yourself, you are self-employed, or if you are owning a business. And if you are owning a business, you are building a company. You are building self-led business. I envision self-leadership, self-led business, self-leadership, self-led team. And does it have to be your vision? You can be self-led, self-employed therapist. Perfect. Because another important point for many therapists is the definition of owner intent. What do you want from your business? How do you want to run your business? If you don't want to build a clinic, if you don't want to build 7-8 figure private practice, if you don't want to build this big thing, and you just want to have your 150K to 250K cash collected from your practice, that's doable. You can get creative as a self-employed therapist, and you can absolutely get to those numbers. Is it easy path? No, entrepreneurship is not easy. Is it possible? Is it doable? It is absolutely doable. It is absolutely possible. If coaches can be self-employed, they call themselves CEOs, but let's be honest, if they can run solo businesses, solo life first businesses, so you can build solo life first therapy practice and charge life first fee as so, or if you have this vision to actually step into this self-led practice, self-led business, it is also available to you, but you can make a decision from the place of self-leadership, not from the limiting parts, not from the parts who are saying that money is not good, money is not enough, you're not enough, who you are. Really self-leadership, because the energy of self, this is the seed of consciousness. And in this world, in this day, we need more self-led therapists with self-consciousness, with very strong core. And I'm very strong. I feel really strongly about it. So, wealth is not money. Wealthy therapy practice. If wealth is not money, what it means, wealthy therapy practice, like repeat after me, wealthy therapy practice means therapy practice that creates value. Valuable therapy practice. Valuable therapist. Wealthy therapist, valuable therapist. Now, value, providing services, providing education, providing speeches, showing up on stages, teaching other therapists, helping other therapists, like you name it. It comes from self-leadership and creativity. And creativity is your innate ability. You're already creative. You already have this creativity. Creativity brings value. Value translates into income. Income translates into resources, because here's one step further. I don't know about you, but I historically, when I was in college, I had this vision that I will run my private practice. I will be like therapist from the movie in a comfortable chair, like taking notes. But in reality, I was working in institutions in public sector. I started working at community centers. I was working at deaf school. Yes, I was running small private practice. And let me tell you, when I was working in public sector, the amount of despair that I was witnessing, and it's just soul crushing. And another part that is soul crushing is that so many providers who are working there, like very valuable therapists, said, hey, like this is just the norm. And it's okay to be underpaid, not appreciated, and burnt out. And I'm not okay with the people, and especially now, especially in the United States, when resources are being taken away from the most vulnerable people. And I'm not okay with the fact, with this sense of helplessness. And if I can build wealthy, profitable practice, if I can use my money to help those centers, I will. And this is my vision. If I can build profitable, wealthy practice, so I can implement tithing business structure. What is tithing business structure? If you're a person of faith, you might have guessed what I'm talking about. It's not just tithing to your faith community. It's actually you like have a tithe tier in your business, when you can take pro bono clients who are desperately need your help and can pay for your services. You can structure it in a way that is not a handout, because also with free services, it is essential to create a structure when we empowering and not enabling. And you can create that. You can absolutely create that. Again, I'm originally from Moscow, Russia, and my first therapist was in Russia, and we don't really have insurance-based therapists. I mean, you can go to a clinic and you can work with a psychiatrist, you can work with therapists, but they're normally, I have to be really careful with what I say, but they're normally not as good as private pay therapists. In Moscow, Russia, not because those therapists are not good. Those therapy services are not good because they're overbooked, because they're under-resourced, because it's really hard to find a time slot on the schedule, and you normally can't work with a therapist that you really like because they're full. Good therapists normally have full schedule, and so how my therapist created self-led business and empowerment model. I was a student. I could not afford her services. I was from my marginalized population. I'm a gay man. and I'm a gamer of faith. And also, I have a history of being a child with disabilities. So like I'm not from wealthy family. And as a psych student, like I don't have the whole lot of money or discretionary funds to invest in private pay therapy. So she takes me on a sliding scale. I still pay for therapy, but I pay in a way that it's slightly uncomfortable for me. I'm still investing in my transformation, and I'm learning from her, and I'm transforming myself. And it was the most transformative experience I ever had in my life. And check this out. A couple of years later, when we finished therapy, I came back to her therapy practice as a paid in full client. I was a psychologist. I was employed. I was fairly well. I mean, I had multiple jobs, but like I had income and employment, my private practice, like multiple positions that I was juggling at a time. 20s was fun, and I was able to pay her in full. That was the transformation. But in order to create tithing tier in your business has to be wealthy so you can create value. And when you create value, your business has to be profitable. And you as a therapist, you have to be resourced. And that's how you create value. Also, there is a notion that that charging money for the people who are in pain, who are in need, is not profitable or it's not ethical. So historically, if we look at healthcare in the US in general, and different countries is a little bit different. Like if you're a therapist not from the United States, you're probably like, oh, what are you talking about? So in the United States, private practice doctors, medical doctors, I know it's a little different. Private practice doctors, they normally charge less than hospitals. Like if they're profitable, then people can have more affordable care. If we have enough profitable therapists, profitable, resourceful therapists who can afford tithe-based tier in their business, then we can create more opportunities. Also, when we have conscious entrepreneurs, conscious business owners, such as therapists, in contributing to the organizations that need help the most. Because right now, listen, we can rely on government. We cannot rely just on government to get care from. In Washington is one of the Democratic most liberal states cutting resources for adult health services. And if you don't know what adult health services are, adult health is services for people with chronic and terminal illnesses, normally under Medicaid and Medicare, normally with diagnoses such as developmental delay, developmental disabilities, dementia, things like that, or severe bodily disability who are on Medicaid, who are on Medicare, and those resources are being cut, and those places where they can get socialization for some, it is the only place where they can get additional therapy services, additional counseling services, or social work, any kind of like emotional support from social work professional, from case manager, or I'm not even talking about therapist, right? When they can like get professional help. And those places, when those places are closing down, then that part of our society becomes even more exiled. And why am I saying this? I understand that you are a therapist and you cannot change you cannot change the entire US system and you cannot change the government. But you know what we can change? If we have enough profitable, wealthy therapists and profitable, wealthy practices, we can support those systems. We can donate to those systems. I will contribute, and like if enough people contribute to those places, or if like even one clinic, even one business say, you know what, I'm having enough buffer to take the whole adult health under my tithing tier in my business so I can contribute. I can give to most vulnerable, to most exiled members in our society right here, right now, and I can serve them. And this is how we use money to help people, not to use people to make money. And when you say like, okay, but what about like we're still charging like people for the therapy services, and I want to reconcile that. There are people like me, like entrepreneurs who are making like okay or good money, and if I see a therapist who satisfies my criteria, who understands me, who understands how to work with entrepreneurs, who, like, I'm looking for IFS therapists, by the way. Use modality that I like. We click, there's a vibe, there's like, everything is aligned. Yes, I will pay out of pocket. And yes, like, I will buy therapy packages. I know one practice that uses therapy packages, just like that. And I will do that. Like, yes, it requires marketing. And yes, it requires marketing beyond psychology today. Now, like, listen, don't get me started on psychology. So, but this is exactly why therapists need to run wealthy, profitable businesses. And this is why I'm so passionate about it. This is so personal for me, y'all, because at some point in my career, I walked away from therapy career. And again, new immigrant, not enough information, not enough resources. I started my family. I was under-resourced. I needed to figure it out. And you know what? I wish I met Eugene from 2026, from this year right here, right now, who would say, hey, we need you to be a profitable therapist. Because you know what? Like, it is absolutely available and is absolutely possible for you to run profitable and wealthy therapy business. And it's not going to be an easy road, but like, if you're not here for easy and quick money anyway, if it isn't your path anyway, you might as well create something beautiful. You might as well start now. So 12 years from now, you can actually run profitable, wealthy, and healthy therapy practice. I wish I had Eugene from 2026. I wish that a trail angel would appear in my life and told me that. And this is why it is my personal mission. This is my big why. I'm so passionate about helping therapists build profitable, wealthy, and healthy businesses, because the world needs us. Because with so much darkness in the world, we were called to help people as counselors, as therapists. And this craft, this occupation, this vocation has been there for ages, for centuries. Priests, advisors, oracles, different people who were giving advice, who were providing guidance in any way, shape, or form, who were providing healing, shamans. And I know therapy and shamanism and spirituality is not the same thing, but that component was there. And right now, what is asked of us is to show up for ourselves, for our clients, and those who run private practices, those who run mission first businesses. This is like, I'm not saying that it's going to be super easy. I'm not saying that it's going to be a walk in the park, but I'm saying that it is absolutely available to you. Now, do me a solid. If you're a therapist, follow me on Instagram, send me a message. Let's connect. Let's have a conversation. Tell me about your private practice. I help therapists with their business. I am a licensed or registered hypnotherapist in the state of Washington. I run therapy practice in Moscow, Russia. And also I'm working as a business coach, as a business mentor and consultant with therapists. But it doesn't mean that when you message me, I'm going to pitch slap you or anything like that. I want to have a conversation. I want to have a connection. And by this episode, you probably already know that this is the brand. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Let me know what resonated with you in the comments on YouTube. Leave the review on the podcast. It helps more therapists discover this podcast, find empowerment, and move with clarity, creativity, and connectedness. Let's stay connected. I will see you in the next episode.